Well, good morning, everyone. Clay on the trail here. It's Monday, November 19th. It's a beautiful sunny day, as you can see. It's already 29, almost 30 degrees. It's supposed to be up in the 40s today. I am at the East Fork trailhead, the East Fork of the Bear River. So I've driven up the North Slope road off of Highway 150 on the very north end of Highway 150. I'm gonna hike up the trail today. There is a waterfall up here. It's been a couple years since I've been up here, so I don't remember exactly how far it is. If it's super far, we may not get there, and that will be my destination if it's not. So let's go along and see what we find. Okay, so something notable and noticeable about this area. Some Boy Scouts tried to burn this place down. They didn't try, they burnt this place down. It's been several years ago. And it's in recovery. So this is one of those areas that the beginning part of the trail is kind of an interpretive trail. There's signs up all over the place. It talks about recovery and the fire effort and all those things. And once you get in just a little bit, it opens up and just is a regular old hiking trail. But it caused a lot of damage, but it is recovering. And one of the sad realizations about the Uintas is it is covered in beetle-kill timber. The majority of the trees, it used to be about half, and now it's over half. The majority of the trees are dying or dead. And the only way to recover and reclaim this area will be through fire. So it looks like a little herd of probably elk would be my guess. Too big to be deer and too many to be moose. We're sharing the trail with me for a while. Oh, yep. Another set crossing right here. And it looks like a whole bunch here further up. I would say maybe we'll see them and hardly ever do. But it's pleasant to know that they're out here with me. All right, so I got off the boardwalks, thank goodness. A little bit of crystallized snow and a little underlayment of ice on those boardwalks. That was doing the tiptoe. What a beautiful place. There's the East Fork of the Bear River. Probably not wanting to cross it today. Although if you fell in, it's probably not that deep. A few inches is all. Almost frozen over though, not quite. Oh, I'd like to say I'm just whipping this trail out. I'm probably still doing 2.5, 3 miles an hour. But I keep getting to spots like this and I don't know where the trail is. I guess that's the good thing and the bad thing about hiking this time of year. There's a cut log though. That's kind of what I'm going off of. When I first started doing these videos this spring, really full time, I did a video up Christmas Meadows. And it was pretty awesome because there was no trail. There was feet of snow and I just got to wander wherever I wanted. Pick the straightest line. and make really good time. This time of year, there's inches of snow. Just enough to hide the trail and not enough to completely make your own path. But we're about to get the view of one of the most beautiful peaks in the Uintas, in my opinion. It's just a little bit different than the average peak. Okay, as promised, that is Mount Beulah. And why do I say it's different than most of the other mountains around? I said, well, most mountains up here are big and pyramid shaped in their the peaks rise up from a whole mountain. Beulah pops out of a ridge. She's craggy and she's little. She just jumps right up out there. And I've summited a lot of mountains in the Uintas, over 20. And Beulah still stands to this day as one of the toughest. And that's including the winter ascent up Kings Peak. That was strenuous, but it was just walking and just skiing and just trudging along. My friend Daniel, you guys have met him in the winter Kings Peak trip and the Mystery Canyon and Zion's trip. He and I decided to do this one day, and it like to have killed us doing it. When you get up high, hopefully the sun's not killing this. When you get up high in there, you just have to kind of spiral around that thing on these little cliff bands. And it was tough. So part of being a guy that makes videos for YouTube, there's a part of YouTube, it's a different app I guess I use on my iPad or my iPhone, that tells you all about how many minutes of view a guy gets, how many, the average duration of the views, keywords that people are using to search out videos, what sites they're using to search your videos out. And one I've always been intrigued with, it tells me where my viewers are from. And after my rat series in the Tetons and the Yellowstone, I would suspect a large portion of my viewers are Asian. It was kind of a big draw there. People were very interested in it. It was fun. It was a great trip. But I guess my point is, I'm showing right now about 46% of my viewers are from America. 0.5% are Canadian. And it doesn't show me where the rest are from. So I would just be curious, if you're watching this video and you're from the United States, throw down in the comments for me. Tell me what state you're from. If you're from a country other than the United States, please comment down there. Tell me where you're from. I'd be curious to know. All right, one of the fascinating things you'll come across up this trail, and there's a few others in the one, is the West Fork of the Blacks Fork. And I want to say there's some Christmas Meadows as well, but I'm not positive of that, or some old tie hat cabins. And from what I've studied of these things, this is a big cabin. This would be a dining hall, a recreation area for the guys that lived up here. They lived up here all winter long, and they cut timbers. They would flood the meadows and things out, and in the spring when the high water came, they would release the dams and send all the logs they had cut down the river towards Evanston, where then they were turned into ties, railroad ties. So around this cabin, there would be several smaller cabins where the men actually lived, slept. So it's neat to see the old artifacts up here. They're not doing really well, but that's what time does. And right here is an example of one of the smaller cabins. 100 yards or so down the trail. So I just wanted to share a few seconds of what it's like to be out here by yourself. I'm usually talking or stomping through the snow or the trail. It is so quiet and peaceful here. Straight ahead of me is the canyon I'm headed up. The waterfall's just barely up it a little bit. This mountain and peak to the right is called the Cathedral. And then, of course, Mount Beulah. Finally made it to the wilderness area, wilderness boundary. So have to put my motorized vehicle away and my hang glider and my bicycle. But that means I'm getting closer. So I just made it to the gate, which is usually the wilderness boundary. I don't know if I put this in wrong or moved it or what. A little confusing, I guess, for me. And right here, looks like another little chunk of cabin, but a little one. So I made it to the junction in the trail Alsop Lake, I've camped at before. Fjord Lake, I've never been up that trail before, but the waterfall I want to go to is up on the Alsop side. I am still trying to decide if I'm going to go to the top though, or just go up the river bottom and go up to the bottom of it. I think it's more of a cascading falls than a vertical falls, so maybe it would be better to go to the top. There's something you don't see all the time. So I found this little bit of a trail. It's kind of a compromise between walking up the river bottom, which is a steep, steep canyon, and hiking up to the top of the trail. Now the bottom down there is just jumbled with fallen trees and steep. So we'll follow this around and see where it takes us. I thought I'd be hearing fall or, waterfall noise by now, but maybe it's froze up enough that it's just going to be a big blob of ice. That'd be a bummer. Well, this is giving me hope that there'll be a little open water as I get closer. This is just a little tributary going into the river, not to the waterfall yet, obviously. So sometimes common sense eludes me, and I end up in a place like this. That's horizontal. This is a nice covered slope that's steeper than I want to be on. But I'm 300 feet from the brink of the falls, so I'm just trying to find my exit. Okay, well, as fate has it, that is the brink of the waterfall. And it comes down fairly straight, but it's all ice. So I'm gonna stop here. The spot just a little flatter below me. I was able to climb up out of that hole I was in. And I guess I'll fix some lunch and drink some water. Head on out. All right, there's the brink. And the waterfall all the way down. All right, well, I decided to actually come way back down the trail for lunch. I'm to the spot where I was closest to the river, rather than steal my drinking water. I'm gonna go over and dip some out of the river. I'm boiling it for food anyway, so. Anyway, nice little spot in the sun right here. Hey! If he doesn't eat it first. All right, lunch is over. Had a cup of hot chocolate. Back on the trail. It's about 2 o'clock. Should be back by about 4. So, geez Louise. So I think it's crazy to think that at 2:30 in the afternoon, I just watched the sunset. Now granted, when I get up here a ways and it meadows out a little bit, the sun will come back out, but down here in these little canyons with these high peaks around. Night comes quick. You can see the sun lighting the trees up and the hill up over here. But that's it for this place. And the temperature has dropped on the last 100 yards, probably 15 degrees. It's noticeably colder. So if you're gonna do stuff like this, and I very much recommend it, be prepared. I have a headlamp, coats, flannels, probably 10 different ways to make a fire. And a map of the place to get in and out. But brr, did it just cool off. So I just walked pretty close to a mile in the shadow of this mountain, not Beulah that I'm showing you, but the shadow of this site over here. Holy cow, I was cold. Glad to see sunshine again, but it may disappear before I get back to my truck. But it does feel good to warm up again. Not very often you get to watch two sunsets. So we went 8.5 miles and a good walk. Thank you everyone for coming along. If you would be so kind as to punch the thumbs up button. If you like what you saw, please give me a subscribe, share my videos, and thanks for coming along.